Well, let's now go back to Mike Neville, who was sadly interrupted as we were just about to get into the nitty-gritty of supermarkets using facial recognition technology to scan the shoplifter's face. And Mike, who's a former Met Police Detective Chief Inspector, was the man in charge of keeping and analysing all of this information. I was just asking him before we crossed over to the Commons there for that statement of the fact that people might raise concerns if they're just an innocent shopper going about their business. I mean, as it stands now, I'm pretty sure no cop shop in the country has my fingerprints or blood sample because I ain't done nothing wrong. But if it's a case of everybody being routinely scanned using facial recognition technology and that being kept in a database, does that mean all of us now are going to be in the annals of police records? And is that right? Mike, what do you have to say on that?
Well, I think people are genuinely concerned, but there are two issues here. Some private companies like FaceWatch do scan facial recognition at the shop to see if somebody's a shoplifter, and then the shop gets told that this nefarious character is in their shop. But what the Home Office proposals are today is that if the shop gives the police an image of somebody they really suspect, they've got good grounds to suspect as a thief, then they'll check it against the police national database of mugshots. So that's a very different thing. And I always think that the public will really support, if there's an image of somebody we really believe has committed a crime, a theft, a rape, a robbery, a terrorist act, whatever it is, that people would expect it to be compared against mugshots and to see if we know this person. Where people are rightly concerned is if where everybody's been scanned, like at a football match or at a shopping centre or whatever else. And so there's got to be very, very tight controls around that, and it's got to be justified. But I do think if we've got images of a person who we really believe has committed a crime, then everything in our power should be done to identify that. And the law is clear as well that no one can be arrested on a machine making an identification unless a human has checked it and said that is right. And again, I recruited the Human Super Recogniser Squad. The Super Recognisers are people who've got an exceptional memory for faces. And so they're the sort of people who should use to verify and make sure it's the right identification before anybody is arrested or anything's done about it. So I think as long as there's checks and balances, the public would be keen that we catch as many criminals as possible. But
of course, this means more work for the police, and the police themselves have come under fire for not doing enough. I mean, looking at some of the statistics here, in the 12 months to March, police recorded 339,206 cases of shoplifting, despite the British Retail Consortium estimating there were 8 million incidents. So essentially a drop in the ocean, and the British Retail Consortium saying that this uplift in shoplifting is costing nearly $1 billion a year. 48,000 incidents of shoplifting reported by the police were charged, which is only 14%, while 183,000 investigations, or 54%, were closed with no suspects being identified. I mean, this, I think, does pay into this idea that if they were to use this technology, it'd be easier to identify and find the wrong-uns and actually lift them and get them dealt with. But is this just going to be even more for the police to do?
No, because of what I found is that if you have 100 crimes, that is not 100 criminals. It's probably 5 criminals committing 20 offences each. And so a lot of these shoplifters are organised gangs or persistent thieves. And so it actually reduces work, because if you arrest one person and you've got one image of them, they'll probably deny it's them. If you show them 20 images of them doing various crimes, they're much more likely to admit it. So that's a big saving on police time, a big saving on courts time. So the fact that you don't, if you have 200 shopliftings, that is not 200 thieves. It's about 5 thieves committing all those offences. So it's far easier to deal with them for multiple offences. And when you do that, they go to jail. So if you go to court for one shoplifting, nothing happens. If they go for 20 or more, the highest ever, I had a guy convicted of 43 offences linked by images, and he went to jail for 3.5 years. So that's the way to do it. This is the better way to do it.